Angelo Rodriguez specifically, because like David mentioned, he's doing what he was brought here to do, at least part of it.
And and the only criticism that he is really getting is from people that don't accept the fact that that's what he was here for.
Yeah, they don't like his style of play.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree completely with Dave. Yesterday's game was the perfect example of what we want to see from him.
Yeah, exactly.
And had all our chances been taken and been successful, one, it would have been a win, or at least a draw. But two, he would have been on the score sheet for an assist.
Yep.
Possibly some other key passes. I mean, it was good. That was possible.
Let's talk about they go down 1-0.
Yeah.
And then we have another VAR situation.
Yep.
Handball in the box. So once again, we got Darwin come and kick the penalty shot. I think Darwin has how many goals this year? And none of them they're all penalties.
3 goals and all penalties.
All penalty kicks. Yeah, he's obviously leading the league in that category.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
so he hits it. Of course, it's a moot point really when he's in the box. I mean, he's going to get it. So we're tied 1-1 going into half. I was able to watch the second half of this game, and I know we had commented a little bit. Finley started yesterday.
Yep.
In place of Schuler,
which is another positive.
Yeah.
Just throw that out there.
I mean, and Finley, watching him in the beginning of the second half, he looked like he sparked. He had a lot of energy, and that's what I like about Finley. He's an energetic type of guy.
Yeah.
He's also one of our own. I have to mention that. But he sparks things, and he looks more into the game than Schuler did the previous couple games.
Oh, without a doubt.
We talked, last podcast, we talked about Schuler being more, it seems like he's been robotic. He's thinking too much. He's trying to do things that normally he shouldn't be doing, and, he looks out of place.
Right.
Finley comes in, and he looks like he's in the system. Like, he is there. He knows what he's doing. He's getting up on the sides. He's making plays.
Right.
But like you said, when we were messaging back and forth, he did burn out because he's not match fit yet for 90 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. And with his motor, I look at him and Miguel as being very similar. Mm-hmm. Like, they just go and go and go and go and go. And if you're not match fit, that's going to wear you down.
Yeah,
and it did. But exactly to your point, he fits the system.
Yes, he does.
Better than Rasmus Schuler does. Schuler is an inverted winger. He's an actual winger. So you end up just having a guy that's supposed to be where he is, playing the role he's supposed to be playing, role that he's used to.
And is that something that, you bring up the inverted winger, and is that kind of play where you would expect him to then come more into the middle from his wing position? And do you think that's something that Heath wants to see, or do you think that's just something he's playing that because he has to?
Well, I think Heath wanted to see that because there's no role for Schuler anymore with Gregush and Ozzy, so he's trying to get Schuler to play that role because there are benefits to that. If you're in a situation where a team's playing, say, a 4-3-3, where they really load up the midfield, an inverted winger is actually not that bad because he's a little bit more defensive minded, and he can drift inside. The wings tend to be more of an issue in the final third in a 4-3-3, and he's not, he's going to bottle up that midfield a little bit better.
Yeah, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but then if that's the case, if you've got an inverted winger like Schuler maybe drifting towards the middle, and then that's where we could use, say, our backs, or say Calvo to come up on the left side, or Metnier on the other side.
You're going to see a lot more overlapping runs.
Or if you're not getting true winger play.
Right. Yeah, and it's when it's an inverted winger, the overlapping run looks a little bit more, I guess, unnatural. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're in a 4-2-3-1, the overlapping runs just look like they work because you got your two wingers that kind of stay where they are, and the fullbacks go out around. So you get a bunch of movement forward with an
Sure.
inverted winger. That inverted winger stays back and he doesn't move forward. So the thing with the fullbacks in a proper system is you get significantly more offense. An inverted winger kind of pulls one of those offensive players back.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's an easy way to describe it.
So we saw Finley doing his thing. We come to the second half. It's 1-1, but we came out in the second half. We looked. I'm going to say it again. We looked flat.
Oh yeah,
They were
yeah.
spending way too much time in their own third of the field. They weren't able to push up anything. They were making stupid passes.
Yep.
They weren't. I think you mentioned yesterday, David. You said that they were passes they were making. They shouldn't have made. They should have actually been dribbling it up a little further.
Low probability. And
Low probability.
They just didn't have possession.
No.
And because of that, I mean, as
And
a
it,
result.
and I don't know. I said this in my notes. I don't know if I said it in the text. It was one of those situations where they had one or two passes,
Yeah.
and they would choose the second pass, which was 10, 15 yards further than the first pass.
Yep.
And it's like, if you have to pass it, choose the better probability pass.
Exactly right.
But
Yeah.
there were still situations where they could have. There's one in particular that I remember from Ozzy. He ended up passing it probably 25 yards. It was intercepted. He had like 10, 15 yards of space in front of it. And it's like, I get that maybe you're trying to be disciplined in your position, but it's one of those things where New England's not that good. So if you push up, you're probably not going to get burned. So the fact that he didn't just take those extra 10 yards, see what developed in front of him before he passed, is kind of one of those things that's like, I don't know. It's easy for us watching the game to say these things.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like all of the players from the back to Gregish and Ozzy weren't quite thinking through their passes,
No.
and it was losing possession.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting you talk about notes, and like I had my notes for the second half, and I mean, I think I first wrote down 5 minutes, a lot of New England pressure, Minnesota just lacking possession, lacking passing accuracy, but I kept scratching 5 minutes out and putting 10 minutes out, and putting 15 minutes out into the second half because it kept going and going and going. I was
crazy.
expecting a change. I mean, in fact, New England had 4 corners in the first 10 minutes of the second
that's
half.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, 4.
They did.
Yeah, they didn't
And
score on any of those corners, but
I think the corners were like 9-3 or something like that.
yeah, it ended up being exactly 9-3 at the end.
I mean, and corners don't necessarily mean anything, but at the same time,
It's a chance, though.
well,
they're in the final third.
that's exactly what it means. I would
and
say.
it's a chance.
yeah.
So
So, I mean, if we go to the second goal, the second goal was pretty rough. It was one of those things where a lot of people I saw on Twitter are putting it on Calvo because that was his man.
yeah,
But I blame Box 100%. I mean, the guy was marking a man. He claims he throws his hand up, claiming the pass is offside, which it wasn't even close.
it wasn't close. No.
And at the same time, he slowed down to complain.
Now Calvo was on Burnbury, who
who
crossed
was on
it
the
over,
back
yeah.
post.
Yeah.
And so you've got this run coming in with Calvo marking him.
Yeah.
Had Boxel, sure, put your hand up and claim it's an offside.
Yeah.
But keep playing.
Keep going.
Because had he kept going, he would have been in the position to just clear the ball out.
to
Play-
prevent Brandon Bye from scoring.
Play
Yeah.
And it's
play
absurd.
to the whistle. Play to the whistle.
Yeah. Which, and
I don't know.
I did say, I can't put myself in his shoes, but in real time, I thought he was offsides. I said, I thought he was offsides. I was like, oh, that's offsides. And I was kind of surprised when it just continued on.
But that's not the thing. Is I see this all the time in soccer. The guy and they'll slow down. I'm like, just play to the whistle.
Well, and this is the thing with VAR. This is what VAR's for.
Exactly.
Right.
Just let the referee or the linesman make the mistake.
Exactly.
continue your play. If it goes in, they're going to review it.
That's right.
So just let it happen. And he slowed down. I mean, he probably lost a good 3 steps.
He did. Yeah.
And had he just kept going, that ball would have gone right to his feet.
Yep.
And, I mean, I get Calvo let his man in a little bit. I mean, he was still on him when he took the shot.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was, he got burned and was 10 feet behind him.
Calvo let the man in, but Boxel gave up.
Yeah.
So there. I mean, 2 guys there. You could have stopped the play, Boxel. You could have been the guy to stop that play.
It just turned into an easy
goal.
Easy tap in. And I mean, that goal, that whole series had a big-time Minnesota connection between Teal Bunbury, and who was actually, I believe he was raised in Minnesota. Can't exactly show where. I don't think he was born and raised, but I think he was raised.
Didn't he play for Thunder Academy?
He might have, but he also played for Minneapolis City.
That was the goal scorer, Brandon. Brandon Bye played for Minneapolis City. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying there was a connection.
Kind of interesting.
There was a connection on the assist and the goal scorer for Bye.
Yeah.
Minneapolis, former Minneapolis City player.
Yeah. So, it's again the goals were caused by defensive lapses, and I'm generally, aside from the first 6 episodes of this podcast, I've generally been very supportive of Heath.
Yeah,
maybe to a fault at times, but I agree. This is one area where maybe there's something there with him. There are too many defensive lapses. He needs to figure that out.
Well, so the game ends 2-1, and let's talk about the Heath thing a little bit before we get into our special guest here. So the game ends 2-1. We lose. We still have 6 points, guys.
We still have 6 points.
We still have 6 points.
Yes.
And it's only been 4 games.
It's only been 4 games.
Okay. They're basically kind of right on pace with where I had them at 7 points. And again, I've been wrong about how I thought those 7 points would come.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had New England as one of the wins that would get us to 7. But we are sitting at 6 points after 4.
So we're doing well. It's a lot better than I thought we would be doing with these 5 away games to start the season. But let's talk about Heath just a little bit briefly. After we lose games, you go onto Twitter, you go onto social media, and you see people calling Heath out.
Right.
And I get it. You want to blame somebody for the loss.
Yeah.
The players are the ones who are on the field making the plays, okay? Yes, Heath has something to do with those players. There are some communication issues in the defense that he could probably work on. But this loss is not on Heath by any means.
Well, and that's the thing. It's so easy to blame the manager.
Of course it is.
And that's, anyone that blames the manager in this situation, it's a past agenda.
Yeah, it is.
It's so annoying because there are so many other explanations for why we're not playing well. I mean, somebody said, well, there's a common variable. First of all, he claimed that we were looking as bad as we did last year, which we obviously
that's
don't.
not true.
But he said there's a common variable.
Yeah,
clearly hinting at Adrian Heath. He didn't say it.
No,
but I responded to him from our account. I said, okay, common variable. Or it was Boxel, Calvo, Miguel, Abu, Darwin. I'm like, there are several common variables.
There are.
Between last year and this year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, obviously it doesn't fit your Adrian Heath narrative.
No.
But I was like, come on. I mean, you can't just say, oh, well, we were bad last year and we're as bad as last year because we're not. Yeah. And then just simply say, well, it's Adrian Heath. The 2 goals were essentially the fault of the 2 defenders who we've had for the last year and a half.
Exactly right.
So is it really Adrian Heath? Probably not. I mean, does Adrian Heath potentially have an issue with, I would say, halftime motivation? There's a chance of that.
Yeah.
Because we did pretty well first half. and we came out flat second.
And that's what that was one of the most surprising things. I was just kind of